It's your boy Online Davo, and we back with another video. Look, we got a video about Cam Jones. Cheyenne Bryant is a fraud and a symptom. Now this is interesting because I remember Cheyenne Bryant from the Cam Newton like podcast thing, and now that I look back on it, it definitely feel like she was gaining a lot of traction and her stuff was being like pushed. But I never really thought too much about how much credential she had. But we also got to think she was. It appeared as if she was putting Cam Newton in his place and telling Cam Newton about himself. And we know how social media, feels about Cam Newton regarding his relationships and how he carries himself and the amount of kids and the controversial takes he be having. So she definitely got popularity off of that because people love to see other people tear down celebrities that they don't like, because they would never be able to get in the same room as them, right? So with that, we got about Cam Jones, and he finna go through and break down how and why he thinks Cheyenne Bryant is a fraud of a therapist, a fraud of a doctor. So let's get into this video. Come on.
Hi, y'all have been asking and telling me to talk about Cheyenne Bryant for a long time, and I hadn't covered it yet because I work for myself. I was doing other stuff this year, like earning lawsuit threats. Her situation seemed to have come to a head as of this week. So I actually dropped what I was doing and prioritized this based on the research I was able to pull together. She's almost definitely a fraud, and I can back that up.
Oh shit. It's a tall claim.
So FD covered the ethical side of the situation recently, but he didn't look into the credentials piece. Allow me to pick that ball up and run with it. I don't blame you if you haven't heard of her before. Let's knock out a basic rundown of the resume. Cheyenne Bryant is a social media celebrity, producer of MTV's Teen Mom Family Reunion.
It's not a pretty
Oh.
exercise. Things happen.
Yeah, go ahead and get things off. Bitch, you been faked in a bitch. Bitch, you do it then. Do
Oh.
it then. Do it then.
Yikes. President of an NAACP branch, author, and life coach guru who calls herself a doctor of counseling psychology, which she allegedly isn't, and claimed to get that degree from Argosy University. She's built
Argosy
her career
University.
on being a relatable street therapist, which didn't fully hit me until I watched one of her interviews.
I'm letting you go raw on me. You busting nuts in me.
What?
But when I show you my wounds, I'm toxic. Who's really safe here? Because I'm not safe because you got a good stroke. And most women ain't even satisfied from it.
The more we hold off on what y'all usually want,
Freak out therapist.
that thing, the more y'all do anyways. The more y'all give and the more y'all do.
Just don't call her a therapist.
My biggest misconception about you.
I mean, if the dude main objective is to get between your legs, then yeah, the more you withhold it, the more he's gonna do, the more that he's going to, follow your lead, I guess, right? But if he's someone that's just like, look, I would love to have some, but if you're not throwing me nothing, that's cool too. I'm gonna do my thing. Then that's a whole different story. Now you gotta ask yourself, do you want a man that's ruled by the puss? Or do you want a man that's ruled by his own mind or whatever he feel like he wanna do in that moment, So, eh, you know, I get it though. I get it.
And I think, at the end of the day, it was me hearing from other people about you being a therapist and practicing.
So I'm a psychology expert,
Sorry,
life coach.
yes.
She curses more than any mental health professional I've ever seen, uses a lot more slang, drops some truly basic Tyler Perry movie-esque psychology sound bites, and intentionally targets low-income communities that would fall for this kind of grift, unfortunately. That's
Yeah.
evidenced by the relatively affordable prices on her website. She's a social media star, so please believe her rates would be in the tens of thousands in private practice if she was charging based on all the clout she brags about on her site and her
Right.
capacity. That might lead you to say, well, she wants to serve people who can't afford therapy in the Black community, Cam. Interesting theory. We'll come back to that. One of her
Okay.
other honorary doctorates is from Harvest Christian University in 2025, which claims to be an indigenous university with multiple accreditations. all of which are bullshit. I
Nah.
searched for Harvard Christian University in the DAPIP database for accredited institutions in the US, and it doesn't show up. Their
What?
Royal Charter accreditation, maybe that would fly in the UK, but it definitely doesn't mean shit here. They list a couple more accreditations on the page, and neither of those show up on the CHEA website for approved accreditation agencies. This school is where you go to buy a degree in order to get away with calling yourself a doctor despite never earning a real doctorate. Her master's at University of Phoenix, since she claims that degree is in marriage, family, and child therapy, and the University of Phoenix has that course, it's got to be it, right? That being said, that course is supposed to qualify students to receive their license in California. It's literally designed to do that. Since she said herself that she doesn't operate with a license, I'm side-eyeing that degree too.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Oh, this ain't looking too good. I ain't gonna lie. So first off, you can't even search up her college, and well, her college exists, but her college isn't accredited the way that she makes it seem, or her college doesn't hold as much weight as it should hold, right? If you're dealing with a psychologist, not a therapist, you know? And then also, she's not getting her license, so what's the point of you getting that anyway? Huh.
Where did you get your start?
You might start as far as like a therapist. I started off as a marriage, family, and child therapist about 18 years ago. Before I obtained my doctorate degree in counseling psychology. Once I became a doctor of psychology, I transitioned from a therapist to a psychology expert in private practice. And so I no longer practice under a license.
Right.
Right now I'm in private
You're
practice.
making all the money now.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit, a license is really only needed so you can bill insurance. And let me go a step further.
What?
Majority of people who know that in order to bill insurance as a therapist or a physician or a psychologist, psychiatrist, you have to diagnose.
Okay.
Most people don't want to have a diagnosis on their record. So what do they rather do? Pay out of pocket.
We see this excuse used time and time again by grifters.
But the reality is, it's not about the degrees. I've never shouted, I have a bunch of degrees.
It is about the degrees. As for the part about servicing poor black people,
I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of that before. I never heard of what? The license is only being used to bill insurance. What?
people who can't afford to bill insurance. I don't believe it. Positioning this grift as community service doesn't really match up with what I see on her site. Those packages are a clear money grab, focused on filling every potential avenue for profit via mass appeal and volume orders. In business terms, she's creating a fast food model for therapy. And I wouldn't be surprised if she has a team assisting her at this point.
I have a team now. I self-published my first book.
After all this visibility and all those followers,
Why is my-
there's no way she'd be able to handle
Why is my closed captions on? I don't even do closed captions like that. Or at least on like YouTube videos.
all the incoming booking requests by herself. Truth be told, that's probably why she's trying to sell y'all a book instead. That's the exit strategy. There's a financing section on her site too. I looked up this company, FlexBuy, and the reviews are atrocious. Multiple people claiming they were scammed, slamming customer service, and connecting the dots between her and the multi-level marketing companies that tend to use this for their clientele. Look, a lot of the economic model stuff I'm talking
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I almost got caught by MLM one time. I ain't gonna lie. But they almost got me. I was freshly 18. That's how they get you too. As soon as you turn 18, they sell you this dream. They tell you all you gotta do is talk to these people. But I did that shit for like a week. I was like, oh nah. I thought about the pay structure. I'm like, hold on, nigga. I gotta pay you to make money? That don't make no sense. But yeah, that's a story for another day. I got a little sidetracked, but that MLM shit just brought back a little time capsule in my brain that I shut away a long time ago that I tried to forget.
about is speculation. Granted, the bulk of the proof I have to present y'all is tied to the doctorate, not her business model. I'm just throwing out ideas based on what I've seen in the past. Let's move on. Speaking of the doctorate allegations, she said this on The Breakfast Club.
The conversation about your doctorate because people can't find your dissertation online. How are you responding to that in this new era of your life?
I'm going to clear it up once on here. I'm not doing it again. And I'm clearing it up for my doc squad, for my fan base, for my audience who deserve to hear me address it. For the folks who have already made up their mind to not like me or not understand me, listen, I don't give a fuck what your narrative is. I would like you to recreate it, double down on it, and run that shit. Because I don't give a fuck about it. Now, to my doc squad, my fan base, my folks, you know, my village, it's very simple. I went to a school, Argosy University, completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused.
Nigga, what?
I Google. It says this school has been shut down. I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school.
Students of the Argosy University in Dallas filed a Texas lawsuit in 2009 alleging they believed university recruiters inaccurately informed students that the school would soon receive accreditation from the American Psychological Association, APA. The school had not completed the accreditation process by the time students graduated. At the time of the lawsuit, Argosy University Dallas had not applied for the APA accreditation. Oh shit! So what year? So this is pretty much saying, damn near before 2009, at least 2009, right? If you got some shit from there, some degree from there, it wasn't accredited. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm interpreting from this quote right here. So what year did she graduate? Because she said she's been doing what, like 18 years or something like that?
They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Where I contact the third party, that third party only holds records for 2 years.
I'm no psychologist.
Wait, what?
But I recognize toxic defensiveness when I see it, because I've done it. All that cussing and posturing wasn't necessary. If she was qualified, she could have just explained it in one sentence. Combine that with the iced out doc chain she wears everywhere.
Doc is nasty.
And this is starting to feel like a rap beef. All the
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. The iced out doc is kind of nasty. Ain't gonna lie. Yo, I don't need my nigga. If you my doctor, you my psychological expert. Why was you wearing a doc chain? Like, come on, gang. What we doing? Just like you got a job and you got a level of professionalism, I got a job, I have to have a level of professionalism, bro. Wearing a doc chain is absolutely disgusting. Like, what?
Argosy University's diplomas can be retrieved from the Parchment site, which I checked out. They list.
Yep, cause shit. I mean, I used that like last year to get some transcripts from my college. So she should be able to achieve, she should be able to track her shit down. And it ain't that hard either.
The school and say they can deliver diplomas from Argosy. All she'd have to do is give them the necessary info. It would take less than 5 minutes all in. This was a lie. Furthermore, a lot of doctorate programs require a dissertation. Not saying hers did, since it's a PsyD like the degree Umar has. But in any case, she doesn't have a published dissertation either. I checked ProQuest and her name pulls up 0 results.
Really?
You don't need to be degreed up to call yourself a psychology expert and life coach, but that's where she slipped up. She didn't always call herself that. She used to say she has a doctorate in counseling psychology on her site, but now it just says she has 10 years of experience with that master's from the University of Phoenix. If she had the degree, she would say she has the degree on the site, especially since she says obtained in reference to her Cal State Northridge double degree. Obtained and pursued are very, very different words. She claims the master's on the homepage, but this paragraph insinuates that she didn't finish that one either. This bio hasn't changed since the earliest version of the site. So we might be looking at 2 fake degrees. I want to be clear that even if the University of Phoenix degree is real, this woman is clearly lying about that doctorate, in my opinion.
Enablers.
That's all I have to say regarding the education stuff. She threw out a bullshit community service excuse regarding the licensure. Now, I want to close out discussing the ethics and show y'all that not only should this woman not be counseling anyone, the entire...
I ain't gonna lie, bruh. I can't look up your school and you tell me some story like you your school like shut down or you can't find your shit or something. Like what? That sounds weird as hell. What are you talking about? You don't got no type of physical nothing? Like do she even have like the diploma from the school or anything?
System of podcasts and radio shows she's leaning on for all this clout are enabling grifters. I know it's not revolutionary to make the point that the Joe Budden podcast is run by an intellectually dishonest Gen Xer backed up by dumbass yes men, but I'm not even focused on them. Even the people we look to as intellectual leaders in the black community are complicit sometimes. Mark Lamont Hill is deeply respected in the podcast and TV political debate space, for good reason. By no means am I using this one moment to cast him aside or claim he doesn't have value. This was some bullshit, though.
I know therapy goes in a lot of areas, but it seems like one of the things that you really light up for is relationship conversations.
Relationship, Mark, and trauma.
Why?
Because I think that it doesn't matter our race, our gender, it doesn't matter our background. One thing that we all can relate on is adversity and some fucking trauma. It doesn't matter what race we are. You can sit a white person from the trailer park here and a black person from the hood. And they may not be able to relate as far as the exact same environment. But when you start talking about pain pockets and trauma, we're going to be relatable.
You heard this woman say she operates without a license and targets economically compromised black people. And your first comment after all that is, I've noticed that talk about relationships lights you up. Did she pay you to turn your brain off? I have evidence that you're sharper than this. I've seen you debate some sharp.
Did she pay to turn your brain off is crazy. Nah, I mean, damn. See, that's the thing, right? You want to trust that there would be, black therapists out there who would, charge a decent rate, give a kinfolk discount to the underprivileged in the community, because people in the community, well, everybody needs therapy, but people in the black community need some therapy too. They got their own trauma they're going through. They got their personal trauma with the family. They also got trauma just being black in America. You know what I'm saying? Where every day someone is preying on your downfall. Every day you are being reminded of how much this country dislike you because of your skin color. So yeah, there's going to be some trauma there. Yeah, there's going to be some therapy there. Just like how you have people in other races and ethnicities that have trauma regarding whatever they got going on. Black people have trauma too. You know what I'm saying? And that trauma is expressed differently, especially when you factor in, low income neighborhoods and, lack of job opportunities and anger and frustration with looking and seeming as if your life isn't worthy as another person's life because of your skin color. All that shit can culminate into something dangerous, but that's what they want. So with that, to bring it all back to the original point, you would want to hope that someone is being genuine when they try to give advice to people, especially in the black community. But it low-key seems like this woman may be a grifter, and we know that is one of the most fastest ways to make some money, but also one of the quickest ways to burn out.
Right-wing pundits and shut them down in real time on CNN. This kind of comes back to my stance on these kinds of podcasts and shows.
What was your response and why? My significant issue was the statement that you only individuals only keep their licenses or get a license or obtain a license to bill insurance, and stating that it was just solely a billing strategy, and that is wholeheartedly untrue. And my biggest concern is more so with the fact that when it comes to mental health and well-being and it comes to access to resources, I always want everyone to have informed consent. Right. The way I always describe it to my students is like, if there are 3 options and a doctor only provides you with 2 options and you choose one of the 2, that's not informed consent because you didn't get information on all the options. So whether it is like therapy or whether it is coaching or community support groups or medication, like the most important thing, especially when it comes to, I specialize in Black health and well-being, the Black community, is making sure we're being clear about what that actually is.
Those of us who know how harmful they are shouldn't regularly appear on them in the first place, regardless of how much clout it gives us. I say regularly because a one-off appearance might make sense given the circumstances, but becoming a regular on the Joe Budden podcast is not the best use of your time or brain, fam. Same for the
Right.
Breakfast Club.
Just in
They
general.
are going to kill you online this week. They're going to say she has no records. They just want to hate you regardless.
DJ
What?
Envy, the same man who helped an obvious grifter pull off a real estate scam for the better part of a year or longer, says the internet is going to get you. Bro, why aren't you getting her? Why don't y'all have a research assistant that can look up some of this shit in real time? Even Joe Rogan's horrible show has that, even though he uses them super selectively. One grifter is never the focus. They're always...
I mean, I definitely think, like I said, a researcher would make sense for these podcasts, but you also got to think maybe they like shit. If we research and we find out this person's a grifter, then we really know. You know what I'm saying? We can't use the whole plausible deniability type thing. We can't use the, oh, damn, she fooled us. Oh, we don't know nothing. We just some lowly podcasters just asking questions trying to figure it out. They can't use that if they done did all the research. So it's like, you know what? She may be capping. Her story does sound weird. But we're going to get her in the studio. We're going to see what she's talking about. Let's chop it up. And that's a totally different pathway than doing research prior, figuring out she's a fraud, and then having her on the podcast acting as if she's not a fraud and letting her get her fraud shit off. You feel me?
It's the end result of a network of enablers and yes men benefiting from the grifter's audience and influence. This is why I don't watch The Breakfast Club, Joe Budden, any show run by an athlete, especially if they're talking about anything outside of sports, etc.
What do you think is the greatest problem with being wealthy that people who are poor don't understand?
I don't give a fuck what your narrative is.
Why are we tolerating mental health professionals getting hostile when asked simple questions about their qualifications? If you ask me about my degree, I'd point to the wall and tell you when and where I got it from, down to the day. Please contact the Georgia Tech registrar. We got to demand more from people we choose to follow.
You know, I believe in seeking wise counsel. The Bible says seek wise counsel. Keyword, wise counsel. You got to be careful who's leading you. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt.
Yeah, nigga, there's people following you too, Cheyenne. There's people following you too. They saying you a fraud, gang. They saying that you not really who you say you is. Are you wise counsel? The fuck? What you talking about? Oh man. She used the old religion on their ass, huh? The old Jesus. There's always a passage in there to get some point across. I tell you that.
And because he decided to be disobedient when God told him to speak to the rock the second time and not hit it, he hit the rock. So that means they did not get into the promised land. But guess who else didn't get into the promised land? Everybody he led. His followers. Everybody he led. His followers. So what I'm saying is, especially within our community, we have to be a lot more apprehensive about who the fuck we following. I'm talking about from podcasts to doctors.
This woman giving people generic life advice would technically be fine as long as she...
Drug dealer tells you drugs are bad. Drug dealer tells you, yo, don't sell drugs, man. It ain't good for you. Like, yeah, you're right in a sense, but nigga, can you get someone who doesn't sell drugs to tell me that advice, please? I mean, hey, maybe this is like foreshadowing. She's like, yo, look, I'm a grifter, and I'm trying to tell y'all, don't just follow everybody y'all see. Because I'm not even who I seem to be. I'm not even who I present myself to be. So y'all got to watch y'all follow because I see y'all following me, and I'm not really who I say I am. I know she ain't saying that, but she thinking that, though. You know what I'm saying?
She wasn't representing herself as a real doctor. What isn't fine is calling yourself a psychology expert, pretending you got a doctorate in counseling psychology,
nasty,
then leaning hard into the grift machine. Speaking of the grift machine, I checked out the Wayback Machine. You saw that earlier when I showed you what her site used to say. Well, the first thing that pops up on that site is a course that she used to sell. Oh. What was that course about? Being your own boss, making six figures doing it.
There you go.
That's an earnings claim that's usually tied to multi-level marketing and scams. What kind of therapist simultaneously has a degree, has the ability to get licensed?
I ain't gonna lie. You a therapist? You selling courses? damn. I mean, I'm gonna assume that you out of work or something. Like, you know, like what? Nigga, don't you got people to diagnose and do therapy with? What you selling courses for? On how to make six figures and boss up your life. Nigga, sell me a course on how to regulate my emotions. Okay? Sell me a course on that. What?
And instead chooses to push a course, a grifter. I know this because I've researched a lot of fucking grifters at this point. I got nothing else for y'all. The evidence kind of speaks for itself. But if you want to argue with the facts.
Practicing without a license and people saying how unethical it is and things like that. I think when you cleared it up for me, that I was misunderstood as far as why you practice the way you do and that it's still responsible, right? Can you speak to any other misconception that you think about yourself? Or why do people really have this disdain for you in this space as far as speaking?
Yeah. So I think that people who have a disdain for me are people who are not ready to heal.
All right. Yeah, see. All right. Yeah. Yeah, she bullshitting.
Accountability issue. And most of them have parental issues. See, we always talk about mommy issues when it relates to men. But why don't we talk about mommy issues when it relates to women? Because women have mommy issues as well.
A lot. Yeah.
What the fuck does this have to do with mommy issues? Oh my gosh. The grift is evident. So she shot this. I see what she do it. A lot of people talk about mommy issues when it comes to men, you know? But then we talk about mommy issues when it comes to women. So now she trying to divert from giving us any real type of antidote, any real type of something to explain why people dislike her. She talking about some accountability and all this other shit, mommy issues with men and women. Like, what are you talking about, bro? We just trying to figure out if you're a real doctor or not. That's all people trying to figure out. What does that have to do with mommy issues? What are you saying? Because someone got mommy issues, they don't trust authority figures or something like that? Or someone who appears to be an authority figure or appears to be wise? Nah, bruh. Grifter.
Ma'am, I don't know what question you were answering just now, but this is a Wendy's. Y'all stay healthy.
Appreciate you, Cam. Shout out to Cam for the video. He did his thing. Cheyenne, Bryant. Hey, man. You know, grifting is like, I don't even know. Bro. It's so disgusting, but it's so typical. People have been grifting for years, man. For years on end. As long as someone's not up to date and not doing their own research and someone is desperate, they're going to be someone out there to grift. It's just simple as that. As long as you can tell someone what they want to hear, there's an opportunity to grift. But now it's up to you on whether you want to take that path, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like I said earlier, bro, you would think that someone, you know, would have love and real support for black people, but capitalism, also a lot of, you know, self-centeredness, individualism, you know, they ain't gonna do nothing for the black community, man. And, you know, for her to even come up here and act like she's standing for something and act like she really giving some real advice is honestly pathetic. But who am I? I'm gone. Peace.